and welcome to Frag Props and Gaming. In this video, we're going to continue working on from the tower, which we had in the previous video. Now, what we're working on at the moment is the top of the tower. There's mainly going to be a lookout, that's why there's going to be windows on each side and everything like that. Now, for the windows, to create them, all I've done is got a small strip of MDF, 3 matches, all cut to approximately the same length. Now, what I've done is I've just got a card backing. I've laid down some chill fabric, which is like a netted fabric, like that. Laid that there onto the card, and then I pretty much framed it with the timber and glued it all down. Now I have left excess border on each window. It's actually done so when I actually go to blend them in, and for any sort of additional, like if I'm going to apply bricks or whatever else to the side, it'll just butt up against it to complete the finish. Also adds an extra dimension because it makes the windows a little bit deeper, so they just stand out more. So I've attached all the other windows on this so far. It's just where the last one needs to go. And what we're going to do with this tower in this video is the roof. For the roof, I'm going to make it look like a thatched roof. Now for that, I'm just going to use toweling. Now this is just an old towel I had, which I just cut up into strips. You don't want the fibres on the towel to be too long, or it won't look realistic. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this into small strips. It's going to do layer after layer, all the way up to the top. Now we'll make a top cap out of card or something else, just so it looks neat there. And we'll probably run battens down each of the folds to sort of hide the joins to make sure that it all looks neat and tidy in the end. So just watch on. I'm just going to work my way around. I'm just going to do bottom layer all the way around, then work the next layer all the way around and keep going up. You only need to use PVA to attach it. And once it's all on there, I'll show you how to finish it. That's it all done for now. What has to happen now is I need to let all of this completely dry, and then what I'm going to do is brush it. I know that sounds weird, but what we're going to do is just brush it down, just using an old toothbrush, and then we're going to mat it with PVA and water. We're just going to make a slightly watered down PVA solution. I'm just going to mat it all down. The reason we brush it is to get all the actual all the pattern of all the fur going in one way, to make it look more like thatch. You'll see there's a gap here, a gap sort of in between them where they splay out a bit. Don't worry about that too much. It will all sort of go clump down more as it gets matted down. Working along and doing the tower finished, you'll see there's very little left to do. What I've done is I've used matchsticks to construct a deck along here. Just some MDF thinly cut to create like a basic handrail. We will be continuing this sort of rail around the front here, where there's like this cliff section, and we're doing a different style rail down this side for a handrail for the stairs. All the thatching on this has been finished and completed. All the paving up the tower has been completed as well, so all the brickwork. Now I decided to add this extra window piece here, because this side of the tower was such a long stretch with absolutely nothing was on. So all I did to create this was I just got a piece of foam, cut it to shape. I hollowed the back out to match the curve of the can. Attached it on there. Now I just glued 2 pieces of card to create the pitch of the roof. Covered that in toweling, the same as we did the other thatching. The window here is made exactly the same as the windows on the towers. And then I've just used some stripping of MDF again here, around the base here, to create the props for it. And then I've added the actual brickwork to this as well, just with the card, same as down here. So that's been done there. There's only a few things left to do on this. So apart from the handrail, which we already discussed, what we need to do is we need to finish the tower, Now to finish the tower, we need to, of course, attach the top. Now the top of the tower is going to sit on here like this. Now to create the finished look, what I've done is I've cut some of these sections here. These are about 5mm by 5mm timber. Cut some of these to 6 centimeters long. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the ends. I'm actually just going to slice them off to the correct angles, and at each corner on the actual tower here, with which there's 8 because it's an octagon, I'm actually going to attach one going diagonally down to the tower. So it's just going to be like this, and it's going to be a little bit like spokes on a wheel. And that should complete the tower itself. Now the last thing I need to do is to show you how I finish the thatching. Like you'll notice here that this is all still soft and pliable, whereas here it's like a rock. All right. So what we'll do is right now is we'll just quickly finish this section here, and then we can move on to finishing everything else. Now when we did this, you know, so it was lots and lots of little tiny little cuts of toweling placed on here. Now each one of those is still just soft and pliable. Wherever the stripper was glued on, you know, you can still brush this side of it. The underside though is attached, so you can't get to it. All right, so we've done it all the way up. What we're going to do now is just get PVA glue, and we're going to put PVA under each strip here, and pretty much a good coating on the outside. And then all we're doing is just use our finger and just smooth it down. Now when we get to the edging between each piece, we're going to kind of pinch it together a bit, and that should hopefully help hide these joints. If we can't hide them well enough, then we'll use timber battening to cover them. The timber battening can be something as simple as just, you know, thin MDF strips, or you can use skewers, cocktail skewers, things like that. You know, there's no rule to this. The battening actually may make a final good look when you consider we're going to have the other timber piece here, got the side ridge, and that it may actually add to the overall look. So we may go for battening regardless. Either way, let's just start with some glue. So just a little sort of run underneath there, run underneath here, under each layer as you go. Now some layers won't be as easy to lift as others, depending on how liberally you apply the glue initially. And then just a good smatting of glue all the way down. All right. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just using my finger, you notice that it's pretty much changed colour to white. That's just the PVA. It will dry clear. But that doesn't matter because we're going to paint it all anyway. All right, so all I'm doing is just smushing it down. Now when you get to the very end here, make sure you get glue all the way to the tip and try to pull the fibres out a bit. Let them dry, hanging out like that, and we will cut them off. We'll come along and trim them when we're finished. If you don't sort of pull them out a bit, then you get kind of weird curly ends, and those weird curly ends kind of ruin the illusion of the thatching. All right, so we've got two parts here overlapping now. I just want to try to blend these edges a bit. Now this will work easier for some sections than others. Not all sections will blend perfectly. Some sections you won't even tell there's a seam, apart from the ridge. Other sections it will just be so obvious. So knowing that you have battening as a fallback alternative is great for when you get to those sort of scenarios. Now you will get little bits of the toweling coming off and getting stuck to your fingers. Don't worry about that, just try to pluck them off and keep going. And the PVA will dry to your hands as you go as well. That won't cause issues. All right, now that's the basic thatching roof done. We need to let that dry now. It will take a few hours to harden completely. Once that's done, we'll trim it up, work out what we're going to do with regards to the top here, and if we're going to batten it or not. It may be good enough to not have to batten it. Then again, it may just look better in the end with the battens. That's a judgment we'll make once it's completely dry and we've trimmed it all. We'll also place it on top of the tower to see how it actually looks overall. The roof here has now completely dried, and you'll see here we have these tatted edges. Now we're going to come along and just sort of trim these neatly. Now you can either use clippers or scissors or whatever you have to hand. Should be fairly simple to clean up. Now, we're not going to go too severe with this. We're not going to give it a massive haircut. All we're going to do is just cut off most of the sort of outlying parts that extend a little bit too far. What it will also give us a chance to do is to define the flat sides for the octagon. That's a bit tatty, but that's okay. I don't want to cut into it too severely. A little bit out of place is okay. So we may come back with some clippers and actually tidy it up even further. So this is a bit tough to get through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change over to just a little pair of clippers I've got. Some of the sections here are a bit tougher because they might have just been a bit thicker than we'd have planned. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. Just a couple of these longer little stragglers we'll take off as well. Now you still notice there's a slight flex to the lip of it. That's not a problem at all. You don't need to do anything about that. There is enough glue on there. And remember, you still have to paint the roof yet. Now to paint the roof, it's normally going to be a simple matter of you just do like an undercoat. Now the undercoat will be absorbed quite a bit still. And then after the undercoat's dry, it's just going to be a series of dry brush layers. You just build it up. Now I'm going to dry brush mine to a pale brown. But you can dry brush any colour you want. I mean, depending on what type of style you're trying to meet. You know, if it's going to be like an island scheme or something like that, you may want it to be like more of a tropical one where it's like sort of really dried palm fronds, or maybe slightly yellower, things like that. Or it may still be green. You know, it's up to you entirely. Alright. That there is now pretty good. Let's take him off the end there too. Okay, let's brush some of the dust out of the head. Now, the next thing we have to do is attach this tower top to, of course, the top of the tower. Now, we have been working on here. We have, of course, got all the hand railing and everything done for the stairs and everything like that. I have toyed with the idea of making paving stones for the stairs and putting another little deck storage area over here and everything like that, but chosen against that for now, simply because just time constraints. I would rather get this all assembled, see how it looks, and then add further detail if I deem it necessary, as opposed to sort of dawdling and waiting too long. For attaching the tower, there's a couple of things we need to keep in mind. I'm just going to lay it down here for the sake of camera, and I'm just going to place this container under here, just to sort of prop it up on a decent angle. Now we have the tower here. Now I'm actually running one of these support bars. Now I've angled it correctly, so it can join onto the side of the tower, and then sort of butt into these points. Now I've done 8 of these, which are going to be like spokes of a wheel. Now, when I put this on here, I need to actually position this in a direction so as these spokes and this window don't conflict and clash too much. Now, I thought about trying to have one that would sort of end in at the top, or trying to do a custom one that sort of came out from here and then up, you know, with another sort of jut back to here, because that would then allow these other ones to go on seamlessly. So I was just working it around that. That may be the way I have to go, because otherwise there's just not enough room to try to space it in between them. I made them a little bit too long for that, and it will look kind of tacky if I do that. So I'm going to go with the kind of unusual style and have the tower slightly tilted this way. Now, with regards to attaching this, all I'm really going to do is sort of try to tack it in place with a bit of super glue. Once it's held there, and when I say held there, I mean just the basic weight of the object taken. Once that's happened, I'm going to start trying to glue these into place. I'm going to glue as many of them into place as I can, again just with super glue initially. That will then hold it rigidly in place for me, and then I can run a bead of PVA all the way around to try to actually bond it to the top there. Because it's just card to metal, it should work that way. Alright, so I'm just going to work on attaching that now. I'm not too sure how well the angle is going to pick up there with the camera, but I will try to show you as best I can. Alright, I may have to go another route with this. Just drop upside down in the cup there. Yeah, I'm going to take this whole thing, flip him upside down. Now, I'm going to move you over here, and hopefully you can still be seen. Just try to line you up with a window. Now this is the tower complete with all the basic material added to it. All the work is now done. All it requires now is some paint. So of course for painting I'll begin by undercoating and then going through that. The whole painting process will be the next video. Hope you've enjoyed everything so far. Yeah, this is where we'll leave it off. I know it's probably not the easiest to see from here on this angle. Rotate it around a bit. I'm going to put some still photos up as well. And if you go check out my Facebook page, you'll be able to see more photos. Okay, thanks for watching.